know that children are resilient. Know that life with any chronic disease is difficult, but you're doing the best you can. Accept any help that's offered from outside, from others, friends, and family, and know that your kids are going to be okay and you're going to be okay.
Welcome to Migraine Again, helping you eat, breathe, survive, thrive, and engage better despite migraine. If you or someone you know struggles with migraine often, join us for today's insightful conversation. Now here's your host, founder and managing editor of migraineagain.com and co-host of the Migraine World Summit, Paula Dumas.
Think about it. What would your family life be like without migraine? You know, when a parent experiences migraine, it truly affects the whole family. So how can we protect our loved ones from being overly impacted by our migraine pain? Our guest today shares expert insights and ideas to help you cope. We'll be back to meet her in a minute.
Support for Migraine Again and today's podcast is brought to you by SpeakYourMigraine.com. Developed by Amgen and Novartis, SpeakYourMigraine.com gives people with migraine a voice, combining facts and shared experiences to break stigmas and paint a clearer picture of migraine. You're listening to Migraine Again. For show notes and resources from this episode, check out our program page on migraineagain.com. And now, once again, here's your host, Paula Dumas.
We're talking about the tricky yet vital act of juggling parenting and our own health with today's guest, the top behavioral therapist for people with migraine and headache disorders. Dawn Buse, PhD, is a clinical psychologist who's been the director of behavioral medicine at Montefiore Headache Center in New York City. As professor of neurology at Albert Einstein College of Medicine, Dawn specializes in assessing the family burden when a parent has migraine. Welcome to Migraine Again, Dawn.
Thank you, Paula. I'm really happy to be here today to talk about this important topic.
Great. We love talking with you and looking forward to an interesting interview today. So according to a recent study, over half the people with chronic migraine believe that they would be better parents and partners without migraine. And for those of us with kids, including me, there is just no doubt that chronic migraine adversely affects family activities and relationships. Dawn, in your work, you hear firsthand about the tragic effect that chronic migraine has on every aspect of people's lives, including work and home. So why was it important for you to quantify the degree to which families are affected?
Well, that's a good question, Paula. I have a very privileged opportunity because I meet with patients in the privacy of our office and they share a lot of private information. And what I would find is that people are suffering with guilt and worry as parents, as spouses, that they are affecting their family life. And I would say from one person to the next, I'd say, 4 other people told me the same thing today. But what happens is people can get a very isolated, alone, embarrassed feeling that they are letting their family down when they're living with a chronic illness like migraine. And so I wanted to ask 4,000 people what they felt like, how migraine affected their marriage. We had over 4,000 married people in the Cameo study and nearly 3,000 of them with children. I wanted to ask 3,000 parents, how do you think migraine affects parenting? How is it affecting your family? Partially so we can share these results on a broad scale like we're doing right now and normalize this experience for the nearly 40 million people in the U.S. who live with migraine and say, hey, this is a common response to living with a chronic disease like migraine. It's hard. It's hard on you as the individual. It's hard on you in your marriage. It's hard on you as a parent. And I wanted to say, hey, 75% of these 3,000 parents said that having migraine makes it hard for me to participate in my child's activities, to coach their soccer game, to tell my child, hey, I can be there for you next weekend, or I can drive you to a play date, or you can have a sleepover here, because maybe they're thinking, I can't have kids over if I'm having a migraine. I can't take care of them. It's going to be loud. So it's really important that we have these big numbers because, one, that helps doctors know, hey, this disease really impacts people. And it also helps the people who are living with migraine know, I'm normal. This is part of the disease. And it gives us an opportunity to talk about, okay, So what now?
Yeah, it does normalize it. And you do feel very isolated. And we give ourselves the bad mom or the bad wife or the bad husband or bad dad treatment when many, many people are dealing with this. And, parenting and marriage are hard enough. Migraine just compounds the difficulty. They can also be incredibly rewarding experiences. So how do you think migraine influences our ability to parent?
Well, again, I know from my one-on-one conversations in therapy, and then I know from our survey of nearly 3,000 parents, we know that it impacts almost every aspect of the parenting experience. It impacts the ability to do things for your children, like grocery shop, make them dinner, drive them to school. It impacts the ability to enjoy an activity, like to really enjoy family game night or going to the movies. A lot of people with migraine will say movies with the bright lights, the loud music, and especially a 3D movie is just really excruciating and unpleasant. And so it might do things like make you cancel a family vacation, or you may go on that family vacation, but you may be stuck in the room half the time with a migraine while the rest of your family is out at the beach. And so
I had that experience.
You did? Okay.
I did. I was on a cruise for a family reunion for my mother's birthday. It was a big birthday. And it was only a 4-day cruise, and I spent over half of it in my room sick.
Oh, and how did you feel? What was your emotions around it?
Well, it was, of course, I felt awful, and, my husband and kids were able to participate. But the incredible thing was that my family members who normally thought that maybe it wasn't that bad saw for the first time exactly how bad it was.
Oh, so it gave them some insight into how debilitating a migraine attack is.
Yeah, especially my siblings and nieces and nephews really had no idea how bad it was.
And I know you have a supportive family because your husband, Carl, has written a beautiful post on Migraine Again about being the spouse of someone with migraine.
He did.
And we know that he has really come to understand through you explaining to him and living with you about how to best be supportive and what to expect in his life.
Once you witness it, you get it. But if you've never witnessed it, it's easy to misunderstand. So you reported on results of this study that showed that teens and young adults are substantially impacted by their parents' migraine. Can you tell us more about those findings?
Yes, we were amazed by the range of impact. So everything from getting to school late or missing school because a parent couldn't drive them, to feeling like they didn't have help with the homework or a big project, to feeling like they need to be quiet in the house or not have friends over. So teens told me, I never had friends to my house. We always went to another house because we couldn't be loud. We wouldn't want to disturb my mom. So every aspect of life can be impacted. This is a really all-encompassing disease when someone especially is having an attack. However, I really want to stress, because as I start to say these things, my patients with kids, my friends who have migraine with kids are starting to feel guilty. And I want to say kids are very resilient, and they come back from this. They bounce back from this. They learn empathy for others. They learn about caring and being sympathetic to others. They learn how to be self-reliant. So these teens may know how to do their laundry better than others when they go off to college. They may know how to make dinner. They may know how to cook. So I don't want all those moms and dads out there listening right now with migraine to be feeling overwhelmed with guilt. There are a lot of ways to help your family come together as a team and get through life with this challenge, because everyone's life has challenges. Everyone. We don't always know what they are, but everyone has their own challenges. And if migraine is your family's challenge, there's certainly ways to live your best life and have your family have their best lives despite living with migraine.
That is great encouragement. And I will just say my boys learned how to make macaroni and cheese at a very young age. And I also think that they have become incredibly empathetic. And that is not a quality that is easy to teach, but I'm grateful that they have today. So migraine taught them that. I didn't teach them that.
Oh, that's lovely. It's very true. Well said, yes.
Yeah. So we're talking with behavioral therapist Dawn Buse. And when we come back, we're going to discuss ways to help kids understand their parents' migraine disease.
Just a quick thanks to Amgen and Novartis, the makers of SpeakYourMigraine.com. Go to SpeakYourMigraine.com on your computer, tablet, or smartphone to take the Migraine Impact Assessment Test so you can understand how much of an impact migraine has on your life. This is Migraine Again, encouraging and empowering you in your battle against migraine because you deserve to feel better. You can hear this conversation again or share it with someone who might like to hear it by going to migraineagain.com. Now, once again, here's Paula.
We're back with expert Dawn Buse about juggling kids and your health. So, Dawn, how can parents help their kids understand a parent's migraine?
Well, that's a really important question and something we want to do right from as early as a child can communicate, and even before they can start talking. One is to remain calm. So the parents need to model calm coping behavior. Children take their cues from their parents as to how to react to situations. And so we want mom and dad to explain what migraine is at an age-appropriate level. And, of course, for a very little one, I have a 2-year-old who's putting words together. It might be something simple like, Mommy's head hurts, I'm going to lie down. For a teenager, this is going to be something much different. And that teenager's probably already seen it for much of his or her own life, but this is going to be migraine is a neurologic disease. Well, I've had it my whole life. It doesn't hurt my brain, but when I do have attacks, as you know, I have these symptoms, which can include X, Y, and Z. You can explain that there are different parts of the migraine attack, the prodrome, the aura, the pain, and the postdrome, at kind of whatever level the adolescent is ready to learn. Mm-hmm. So making it age-appropriate, but using actual appropriate terms, not hiding the severity of the pain or the associated symptoms, but clarifying that when the attack is over, that your brain returns to normal, you are not having permanent damage, you are not going to change because of this will pass, and there are some things that they can do to help you. And everyone loves to help, whether it's a friend, a spouse, your parent, your child, everyone wants to help. So if we're talking about a toddler, it may be, while I lay down, you can sit next to Mommy with your teddy bear and read me your favorite story quietly. And with an adolescent, it may be, I need to rest, and please keep things quiet outside. If you can take care of your own lunch, and if you can bring me a cold washcloth first, that would be terrific. So age-appropriate requests. Remember, everyone wants to help. It makes everyone feel less helpless and more empowered when they have something they can do. This is going to include our spouses, our friends, and this is a really important piece. Sometimes we have trouble asking for help or even accepting help when it's offered. And I'm here to say, take the help. We all need the help sometimes, and you can return the favor some other day. But get a good support team between your spouse, your extended family, your friend network, and accept that help. If people offer something, they want to. And go ahead and say yes. Take the help. And it really helps everyone else feel more empowered, and it might help you actually cope better as well. So it's going to be good for everyone to accept that help.
And you'd know better than I, but doesn't it also help build a kid's self-esteem when you ask them for help in something that they can do?
Absolutely. This is very empowering. Watching a parent in pain is going to lead to feelings of helplessness and anxiety for a child. And allowing them to help you in whatever way is appropriate is going to improve their sense of confidence and self-efficacy. They're able to help mommy, daddy, whoever they're helping, and that's going to go on throughout their lives, that when they see a dangerous or scary situation, they are able to do something about it, and they feel confident and have an increased self-efficacy that they can act in difficult situations. So this is a great life learning lesson.
What about the curious kid? If you've got a 5-year-old who's wondering, can I catch this? Or a 15-year-old who says, am I going to inherit this? How do you respond?
Well, for your adolescent, for your teenager, that is a good time to have a conversation that migraine has a genetic predisposition. So we know that if you have one parent with migraine, you have about 50% chance of inheriting the condition. 2 parents gives you about a 75% chance. Chances are your 15-year-old may have already had a migraine attack. So this may already be part of his or her life, I'm very sorry to say. Mm-hmm. But this is an important conversation once the child is at an age where they start to understand the science of genetics and inheriting conditions from parents. The same way I have blue eyes, you have blue eyes. If mom or dad has migraine, there's a good chance that adolescent's going to have it as well. And that's why modeling all of this calm coping behavior, confidence, and enabling them and empowering them to help you becomes so important, because this may be skills they're going to need in their own disease management of migraine as they go throughout their adult lives as well.
Definitely. And the attitude that you model probably makes a huge difference. The cues that they pick up on, it's not the circumstances that we have, it's how we react to those circumstances.
Absolutely. That's so well said, Paula. It's not what happens to you, it's how you react to it. So trying to remind all of your family members there are things we can do about this. There are ways to reduce the suffering. There are ways to live your life better and be more active. And as just a reminder what those are going to be, there are lifestyle things that everyone with migraine should be incorporating, and that's things such as getting enough restful sleep and keeping a regular schedule, 7 days a week if possible, same time to bed, about the same time up, staying hydrated, eating healthy, getting regular exercise, and managing stress. So those are things that everyone needs to do. Mm-hmm. In addition, if you have migraine, in fact, about half of the people with migraine have never been diagnosed or talked to a doctor. And just as a reminder, those symptoms are moderate or severe headache with sensitivity to light or sound and nausea, along with some other symptoms. But those are some of the big symptoms that really make us think migraine. So please do talk to your doctor, get diagnosed, and explore the treatment options that are available.
That's a really good idea, Dawn. People who have migraine have this incredible tension that occurs. When you have children that you're responsible for, you need a unique set of tools to simultaneously care for the kids and take care of yourself. What are some of the best practical ideas that you've heard from your patients in terms of how they manage that tension?
Well, that's a good question, Paula, and we want to think about these things in advance. Not, of course, when we're having an attack, but we want to get as much in place as possible in advance. So some of the things that are very helpful for families are maintaining consistency. We know that children really like routine and consistency because they know what to expect. So we want to try to maintain routines in the household. A chronic illness can be very disruptive and can make planning difficult. So not only do we want to have a plan A, but we want to have a plan B, knowing that if a migraine attack happens, perhaps when something important is scheduled for that child, that either a second parent or another family member or friend will be available to take them and be there with them. So having our plan A, having our plan B. Things like keeping school supplies packed and kept in the same location every evening so they're ready in the morning, and that might make that morning with a migraine easier to navigate. Anything, as we've talked about, that the child can be involved in. So pre-planning, pre-packing their lunches, pre-packing their backpack, anything like that where they feel like they know the plan and they have a plan B is going to help everyone feel more comfortable and confident when that migraine day does happen.
Mm-hmm. Those are all great ideas. And having them, I would have my kids lay out all their outfits for the week, Monday through Friday, on a shelf in their closet. I had a mom who I carpooled with, and we would, she had fibromyalgia and I had migraine. We were quite the pair, but we knew that we could cover for each other just as long as we weren't having our flares or issues on the same day. So having a buddy who can cover for you is really, really important. And then those, frozen meals that are ready to go, all of those things are some very practical approaches to dealing with this.
Exactly. And then even at that point, sometimes we just have to let go of expectations and say, it's all okay. Mm-hmm. It may not be perfect. It may not be the way we envisioned it, but it's going to be okay. Kids are resilient, and we still have to really look at the positives in our lives, enjoy the moments we have, and let go of the rest.
Let go. Yeah, let go, and don't expect perfection. Great advice. So we're talking with behavioral therapist Dawn Buse today. Dawn, migraine attacks don't seem to respect our important events like holidays, graduations, big sporting events. From missing a special occasion to being unable to just read a bedtime story because of a migraine, how can parents deal with the incredible guilt that we feel when our illness interferes with these special moments in our kids' lives?
Paula, that's something that I talk with people about on a daily basis in my office. Mm-hmm. Parents, both moms and dads, feel very guilty about not being there for their children and missing out on family events and family time. And I think what we need to remember is migraine is actually quite common, affecting 40 million Americans and 1 in 5 households. So there are a lot of families living with this disease. And we just need to cut ourselves some slack. We need to know that we are still doing the best job that we're able to do as parents, considering limitations. And everyone has limitations. All families are struggling with something. It may be different, but everyone's struggling with something. And what we need to do is just let go of those harsh and high expectations we have on ourselves. Know that kids are resilient and that this will again teach them life lessons about being self-confident, about being empathetic and being kind to others, and that they will get over the missed events. As much as possible, we want to put in place a plan B so that maybe even if we can't be at the dance recital, a family member can go with the video camera and we can maybe make that special. Maybe we make it special by saying to our child, you know, as soon as I feel better, we're going to watch that video together. We're going to have an at-home viewing, and it's going to be really great. And you make a big deal about whatever the plan B is. So know that children are resilient. Know that life with any chronic disease is difficult, but you're doing the best you can. Accept any help that's offered from outside, from others, friends, and family, and know that your kids are going to be okay and you're going to be okay.
Well, do you find that dads deal with this any differently than moms do?
Well, I think that there are some inherent differences in our role as mom versus dad. It varies so much person to person and family to family. And we often think of mom as the one at home with the kids most of the time as the primary caregiver, but I think nowadays we have very, very involved dads. And I talk to many men in my practice who say the exact same things. They feel very sad to miss out on the family events. I actually see someone who's a grandfather, and I see him a couple times a month, and he wasn't able to go to his granddaughter's high school graduation recently and felt really, really bad about it. And so we talked about what I just mentioned. We made a plan B. They went out to their own special dinner celebration. A couple weeks later, he took her to a fancy restaurant, and they actually had a really lovely time. But men do experience, of course, the same sense of sadness from missing events, guilt and worry from letting down their family members. And I also hear men talk a lot about worries about the family finances. How's it affecting their ability to earn an income to provide for their family? So that's another level of worry that both parents, of course, can talk about. But I do hear men tell me about they worry about providing for their family. And in fact, in our Cameo study results, we see that that was a common theme for men and women, that they do worry about how migraine's impacting the finances to care for their family.
I can imagine that's really painful and just compounds the physical pain.
One thing that may happen is that women may be more likely to get support from friends and family. They may be more likely to either talk to other people in person or go to an online support group, perhaps like the Move Against Migraine, American Migraine Foundation support group, or go to Migraine Again, your website, whereas maybe men might be a little more private or less open with sharing with others. And so I would encourage anyone, man or woman, who is feeling distress, anxiety, worry, guilt, to get support somewhere, whether it's a friend, an online support group, or talking to a psychologist like myself.
That is a good idea. And there's some very powerful dads who have migraine, so they are not alone.
Oh, absolutely. We know there's NBA players and NFL players. There's famous musicians. There's politicians. There's people who are doing presidents doing all sorts of important things and also living with migraine.
Now, we talked before about how this disease oftentimes runs in families and that there's a chance that our kids are going to also inherit this. So as parents, how can we help our kids to manage their migraine?
Well, I think a parent with migraine is actually going to be more in tune and aware to their child with migraine. So even before puberty, in the younger years, if we're starting to see either severe headache or even stomach distress, sometimes migraine will start with stomach distress. Pay attention to that and think about being in touch with your kid's pediatrician. Make sure you're following that and thinking about the best treatments, the best way to help, and the best way to manage. We do know that migraine runs in families. So one parent with migraine gives a 50% chance of having it. Two parents is a 75% chance. So if you do see severe headache in your kids or the associated symptoms like nausea, getting carsick easily, and the sensitivity to lights and sound, which a lot of times teenagers don't mind loud sounds, but if your teenager does, you might want to think, okay, I need to be sure to talk to their pediatrician about this and pay attention. And the thing is, if you as a parent have been living with migraine, you're going to already understand the disease a little bit more and know about coping skills, such as perhaps avoiding triggers, staying hydrated, managing stress, and getting good sleep. So the earlier we can pass those lessons on to our children who may be living with migraine, the better. We're going to really give them that gift of knowing some of those self-management strategies early on.
That is the benefit of having it run in families. So, Dawn, thank you so much for doing this important research that's going to make our lives with our kids healthier despite migraine. Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, Paula, I really appreciate being here to talk about this important topic. I want people to know that life with migraine can be difficult and they are not alone. But remember that we have effective treatments. So if you are living with migraine, be sure to talk to your doctor. And if you feel that the anxiety or depression or guilt associated with migraine is becoming overwhelming, please reach out to your doctor or psychologist like myself. We're here to help.
Great. Well, thank you so much for doing this important research that's going to make life with our kids healthier despite migraine.
Thank you, Paula.
And if you'd like to learn more about her work, check out dawnbuse.com. And now that you know how our experience with migraine impacts our kids, I'd encourage you to savor your family time, practice good self-care, and take advantage of all the additional resources for you and your family at migraineagain.com. And when we come back, the listener question of the day.
A quick thanks to our advertisers, Amgen and Novartis, who have developed the SpeakYourMigraine.com website, where you can read stories, gather tools, and resources to help change the migraine conversation. It's time to turn private pain into collective change at SpeakYourMigraine.com. Hey, we'd like to hear about your life with migraine and offer some help and encouragement if we can. If you've got a question about migraine, we'll do our best to answer it and might even include it on one of our upcoming podcasts. If you'd like to submit a question, just go to our website, migraineagain.com/question. And today's letter comes from Cora in Georgia, who writes, "Some days I'm the eternally optimistic migraine warrior." That's a great picture. The eternally optimistic migraine warrior looking for the next best treatment. And other days, I'm the downtrodden, exhausted victim of attacks. I'm up for anything but getting cynical and discouraged. I'm thinking about going to one of those big headache clinics, but is it worth the effort and the expense? Paula?
Cora, it is discouraging many days because you have to get up and fight day after day after day, and that gets really, really hard. So I feel your pain and encourage you, do not give up. There are some new therapies coming out this year and, in fact, every year, and you don't have to travel across the country to access them. But you do need to find a doctor who is familiar with them and will work with you to get them. So I'd look for somebody who had a capable back office, who could help file insurance appeals, because a lot of the new therapies are, by their very nature, going to be a little bit more expensive and tough to access. That would be true unless you are paying out of pocket yourself. So back to the headache clinic, the best candidates for inpatient care are those people who have a complex case, like more than 8 days of symptoms per month, good insurance, frankly, because it's not cheap, and realistic expectations. And the last part's really important because there is no cure. But good clinics can break a chronic migraine cycle, and they can teach you a lot.
And Paula, you talk a lot about your own experiences here on the program, and our listeners can go back through, past programs and catch up if they need to, right?
That's right. I spent 8 days in an inpatient clinic, and you'll also hear about Paula Kamen's experience and Jeanette Folda's experience. They also went to the very same headache clinic that I did. And well, none of us made dramatic progress. We all learned a lot about our condition and made progress at that time. So I don't regret the experience, but it was not inexpensive, and I had really good insurance at the time. So this is a decision that you have to make for yourself. On the Migraine World Summit, you will hear from Drs. Young, Lipton, and Saper. Those are 3 great talks to listen to. And they each run an excellent inpatient headache clinic program. And you might find answers there that could save you a trip and a bundle of money. So I'd encourage you to listen on the Migraine World Summit and check those out. And if you do decide to go, do your research first, because some clinics are better than others and have better results. And you can check out the list of those clinics on Migraine Again.
And I was just thinking, we've mentioned before the doctor list that's there for finding a headache specialist. It is important, as Paula just mentioned, to note that this website has not only doctors but clinics and many other treatment facilities and treatment options listed that I would say make it probably the best resource.
That's true. So we include a list of headache clinics, not just in the United States, but around the world, who we believe are doing sort of cutting edge work. And that's the list that you want to look at. A lot of organizations can call themselves a headache clinic, but those are the ones that we trust. So check those out.
And that's at migraineagain.com.
So Cora, I hope that helps you. That's all the time we have for today. Appreciate you being with us and listening to the Migraine Again program, and I wish you all a pain-free day.
Thanks for spending part of your day with us today. We hope that you feel encouraged and empowered in your battle against migraine, because you deserve better. Remember, if you want to suffer less and live more despite migraine, be sure to check out all of the great resources on migraineagain.com. Follow us on your favorite social network, subscribe to our free newsletter, and this program. By the way, if you enjoyed today's episode, tell a friend about it. Then plan to be with us again next time on Migraine Again. You'll be glad you did.